of AGOA bill itself. I am also really honored to see that at this very important meeting, we have Rahama, who represent small, medium enterprise here, as we have the U.S. Chambers of Commerce. This is really the reflection of what we at civil society see AGOA as being for, to help in terms of creating wealth, but also to ensure that we have the engagement, civic engagement at the very important grassroots level in making sure that trade becomes an engine for economic development. So my question, Ambassador, is what will you, can you please tell us, what on your side can we expect from AGOA national governments to do to ensure that AGOA is fully utilized once we get this reauthorization done? What are you doing? And what can we do to help you to make AGOA support the Continental Africa Trade Agreement, which is also going to be very key to future free trade agreements that the United States would be looking at working in Africa? Thank you very much.
Fred, thank you for both the preface and the question. It was greatly appreciated. Before I go over here, let me just acknowledge our friend and colleague, Flory Lizer, who just does an incredible job every day working on AGOA and just responding to us as Assistant Trade Representative for Africa. Thank you. Sir.
My name is George Kochu. I'm the CEO of Seal of Hope, Inc. I want to thank the Congressman Bass, Ambassador Bass, and and recognize the panel for the great intervention. And I want to tell Congressman Ringo that I was really inspired by his speech on what needs to be done to put Africa on the agenda. The reauthorization of AGOA is a must. It's not like, there's no other way around. If the U.S. has a policy that recognizes the world as it is today, there is no way to put Africa anymore on the side. I'm a little bit shocked sometimes when I discuss with my fellow Africans back home. It's like the U.S. government is getting blind, looking at what is really happening in the world. China is taking over. We, as Americans from Africa, we are in a great disadvantage right now because when we talk to our people about business, they all are looking to China to do business. Why we here, with the great opportunity and the great model that we have, why cannot we export this model? Because dealing with Africa, talking about AGOA, is not only business trade, it's about style, standard of living, how we see the world in the future, what Africa we want in the future. So it's not doing business, sending product, good from Africa to the US, that is all. AGOA also has an important part of building African community in the US. You're going to see that around African stores, Africans gather right now. It's not like they were scattered like before. These are things that we need to point out to congressmen. Community building, development of human beings in each counties or states need to be viewed as a key to not leave out this community called Africans. It's very important to show all the aspects of AGOA. Now, if AGOA is renewed, I think it's not the end. We need to look at how...
You mean when?
If. No, it's not if. There's no when issue. It has to be done. Yes. We have come at a point that we, as Americans, we have the same right. What I will tell to my friend from Africa is like we have been too slow and too quiet. We don't talk about us. It's time for us to talk about us, to tell them, we vote, right? We have even it's one vote, it can make a difference. So we don't do anything about that. We just go vote, go collect the paycheck, and keep quiet. It's enough now. We have to change the way of we think about ourselves. Then people will see us differently. Africa is not like a continent where you go just to put health there. No, we are a partner. We need to work with America. It's the last frontier. It's the place where right now everybody needs to go and invest. America is getting behind. 10 years ago, there were no lights when you look at the satellite image. But today, you have electricity all over the place. Who did it? China. Where is America? We don't know. We need to change this dynamic. This needs to be changed now. And I have no question, in fact. I want just to tell, yes. I just want to tell everybody, those who are African and those who have interest in Africa, to wake up, to make sure that the type of development that we have in Africa is the model that we, African living here, want to show over there. It's not only about trade. We need to go behind and see the future. The failure of Africans is that we don't see the future image. We just stay in the present. We have to move one step ahead of everything that people are thinking about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We got one more comment here, and then we'll...
Greetings. My name is Brother Cliff. I'm with the website KoumbaReport.com. I'm also with an African diaspora organization, Sixth Region Diaspora Caucus. First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here and sharing information with us. I want to thank Congressmember Bass for her continued leadership on this issue and other issues. And I also want to thank Mr. Atkins for keeping people like me informed about when these things are happening so we can become better knowledgeable about what's going on. I think a lot of people, at least among grassroots activists, especially here in the United States, still have a degree of ambivalence about AGOA and various other bills that involve trade, Africa, and the West. We hear things like urgent, immediate renewal, and it almost sounds like we're supposed to swallow it whole without chewing it first. At the same time, though, even though we may not know it from this gathering, AGOA does have its critics. And some of the criticisms that they lodge may have something to do with perhaps the differences between the way China deals with Africa and the way the West does. Everything from imports in terms of open up your markets, liberalize your trade, in some cases allow in Western subsidized goods, especially in the agricultural sector, the things about exports. We know that there's a lot of oil that comes out, there's a lot of coltan that powers our cell phones that comes out, and there's a concern as to whether or not some of those things are done in an exploitive manner. And I guess our concern is, number one, are women really being served by what goes on? Are the smallholder entrepreneurs and producers and whatnot, is there potential, or is it actually still happening after 15 years? So I guess the question that I have, just to close this down very quickly, first of all, raw data, I think we need some raw data. 4 times the non-petroleum exports, I don't know what that means unless I know what the raw data are. So my question is, how do you convince, first of all, how do you assure us that AGOA is this mutual benefit that we see it to be, and all that we see, all that we hear in forums like these, and not a scramble or a reinstitution of a scramble as you see from some of the critics and some other people who are perhaps not here in this room. And just wonder, how do we get that kind of clarity so that we can back something like AGOA and then know that we are backing something that is truly benefiting the continent? Thanks.
Great, thank you. First of all, let me just respond to that by directing you to the Brookings website. That'd be brookings.edu. And then I'll direct you to the USTR website. And then there are a whole lot of other websites that have a lot of the data, a lot of the analysis, a lot of the information that you appropriately ask about. Let me just get some comments here. I'll just make 1 or 2 observations. I'm coming away with the view that business done in the right way today is economic development. Mm-hmm. And I think to focus on jobs, as Ambassador Froman said, as I said earlier, the fact that the U.S., its trade with Africa supports some 120,000 jobs in the U.S., and that number is growing, is really quite significant. So I just want to mark that. But Ambassador, let me come to you. we heard an appeal, for African governments to come forward with AGOA strategies, AGOA plans. I mean, is that in fact happening, or is that a right request?
Yes, it is happening. It is definitely happening. A number of countries have now started developing their AGOA strategies. My country is one of them. We have a draft ready. We just have to polish it and then distribute it. This is at the individual country level. At the continental level, we have the AU, the African Development Bank, and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa jointly working together to enhance utilization of AGOA. And they do this mainly through training programs, working with local entrepreneurs and other experts in trade. Other than that, they also help or facilitate the development of the strategies that we're talking about, export strategies. So something is going on because it's been some time now that we recognized and accepted the fact that we have not taken full advantage of AGOA. I think, according to the figures, out of 6,400 products that are available through AGOA, only about 300 or so have been taken advantage of. So the development of these strategies now has been identified as one of the ways of addressing this phenomenon.
Great. And when will that strategy be completed, the Lesotho strategy, so you can bring it here and
I can bring
try it out?
Yeah, the thing is now, yes, we have to encourage other countries now to complete that exercise and bring it forward.
Great, thank you. Rahama, the question about are women being served, are smallholders being served by AGOA, what's the answer?
Well, I think that we need more good people doing the right thing.
Yes.
No one in this room is saying that AGOA is perfect. I think that we all agree that it needs to be strengthened. There needs to be changes from the lessons we have learned. So I don't think anyone's saying it's perfect, everything is done correctly. But at the same time, if we want to reduce the number of oil imports, we need more people to stand up and build businesses that are impacting the lives of women, if that's what they're interested in seeing. If we want to see more young entrepreneurs benefiting from AGOA, we need to create the avenue and a way for more young entrepreneurs to develop businesses that can take advantage of AGOA. So that's the way that I see it. When I started Cheyaleen, I was in my early 20s. No one said, Rahama, start a business to benefit from AGOA, but I did it because I felt that women needed to have access to the consumer market, and that I could build something like this to be able to connect those women to the market. And I think that we need more people to stand up and just do the right thing. AGOA is a trade policy that opens a door and provides access. And I think that if we're not seeing the results that we want to see, we need more people to engage in a way that will give us the results that we want to see. If we want to see increased women, if we want to see more entrepreneurs, if we want to see less oil imports, then we need people who can build those businesses to achieve those results. And I also think, too, it's a matter of knowledge. Some people don't know that they can use AGOA. And some people, so it's up to us. If we have access to the knowledge and information, we need to share that. And I think what, you had mentioned earlier, there is a responsibility for African governments as well. And I think what the ambassador is saying in terms of developing their own strategies, and I think that that's important. And if we want to see more positive impact, we need to stand up and start working towards that.
Great, thank you. And Scott, we heard a disquisition about the Chinese model versus the American model. And just get you to comment on that.
It was a strong comment. I don't know if I could have a rebuttal on that.
This is your opportunity.
No, I mean, look, every country has a different command and control of how they're going to engage global markets, whether it's the Chinese model, which has like I say, a bit more of a command and control approach, where it's the U.S. model that says someone, that's in their young 20s, that you have $6,000 and maybe you can go do something in the world. That's our model. And so, you can complain about the Chinese model. You can say a lot about it. They are in the market. They are building roads. They may not last forever. They may not last a week. But there are things that the U.S. government also has in place that hinder the ability for U.S. companies to get into some of those markets, whether it's, coal policy, whether it's, our ability to engage in bilateral trade relationships. These are things that are impacting U.S. businesses' ability to invest in the continent. We may not all agree on power resources, but African countries shouldn't be penalized in the sense that, you have abundant coal resources, so sure, you shouldn't be able to utilize them with American, power. Personally, I'd rather see, more American investment in those sectors, because we're going to do it cleaner. We're going to have a socially conscious way of approaching our investments. We're going to do a lot more in the skills transfer space. So at the end of the day, if you're asking me, would you rather have Chinese or American investment there, I'm going to say American in every sector of all causes, because we have responsibility back to our corporate and our social directors that are going to look at it differently. So, I applaud the Chinese for being ambitious. I just hope that the U.S. government can help us be a little bit more ambitious at times.
Great. Thank you. We're quickly running out of time, so let me just take two more comments, and then we'll wrap up. Steve.
Okay. When you tell a New Yorker to make a comment in a short minute, he usually talks so fast that no one understands him. So I will choose my words carefully and make a short comment. First, people may not realize this, but this is the 40th anniversary of the Caribbean Basin Initiative. Amen. Passed, put into effect. And we have Charlie Rangel, who was doing it then, doing it now. We now see a succession going on, Karen Bass. It's a beautiful picture. Two things are very important in the process. We've all focused on the second thing, which is fine. Let's get this bill passed. But there's one step before which offers great opportunity for Africa, and that is the fact that the Ways and Means Committee and Finance Committee must mark up a bill. And Mr. Froman spoke very clearly and very eloquently that it's in that process that you will address the issues that people have raised. I don't know if any of the ambassadors want to speak, but I do know that the four, what we call the MMTZ countries and so on, Mozambique, Malawi, Tanzania, and Zambia, have put together a note with some very good suggestions. The President of Malawi has weighed in. What is important is for this group to focus on that markup process. Ambassador Froman has suggested or has identified 4 areas where we have to work on. One is origin rules. Manchester Trade argues strongly. Textiles work because of a special origin rule. We need a special origin rule for non-manufacturing, our own view. Second is product coverage. Again, the ambassadors have addressed the importance of including agricultural products within that. 3 is the importance of supporting regional integration, which means getting in line with the African Union goal of a continental free trade agreement, even a customs union, by well before the AGOA extension expires. And number 4 is this question of eligibility, which is another issue. We cannot have a repetition where because a party, a government moves in a direction that we do not like and no one may support, I want to go into the Madagascan history, but where we threaten the livelihood of 50,000 women when there were other tools available. We don't have to take a country off AGOA. So what I think I'm saying is that you have a process where we can consider enhancement of AGOA. We should look at that process. Whatever Ways and Means and Finance decides, with all due respect, becomes law in Congress. So it doesn't slow up the process. In fact, as soon as that markup is ready, we have something to move for. So I hope very much that people who do have ideas for enhancing AGOA realize that this is your one shot for 10 or 15 years. So let's get a strong AGOA, but not one that in any way delays passage. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are almost out of time. Representative Sheila Jackson-Lee's come in. The representative's just been a tremendous supporter of AGOA for a very long time, and I'd like to give you the last word. We've had a fantastic conversation this morning.
Take the last word, because I know there are people online. Let me just thank Karen Bass and thank all of you who have come. I am a AGOA soldier on the battlefield, and I had the privilege of traveling with one of the fathers of AGOA, Charles colleague Rango, who we're very blessed to have as a ranking member on the subcommittee dealing with trade in the Ways and Means Committee. Here's my just one point, because I've heard all the nuances. Let's do this. Let's all get in the business of engagement and making this the best AGOA we can ever get. You know that I can never stand up without mentioning the scourge of a Boko Haram that now colors and defines the continent. That is not the continent. But as we extinguish or address them, that we will not tolerate that kind of senseless, heinous violence. AGOA is the standard bearer. So here's my point. Let us get an up and down vote for AGOA by itself, and let's not put baggage on it of other things that may be relevant and may be good. I may vote for some of the other things, I may not. But AGOA has the bulk of support of Republicans and Democrats, I venture to say, in the House and the Senate. Let's get it an up and down vote, and if you go out of here with a message, you need to fight for an up or down single vote on AGOA.
Quickly, two comments. So,
My name is Joyce Rogers Holiday. I'm the Executive Director of the International Association of African NGOs. I'm also a member of the think tank on social accountability at the GPSA division of the World Bank. My question is how much emphasis is placed on a call to good governance with the AGOA partners on the continent. I know that we're pretty much in support of renewing AGOA. And what's going on now is that, yes, a lot of the countries in the continent are experiencing economic growth. However, the growth is not trickling down to the rest of the masses. The masses are spectators of the growth. So I'm basically would like to know, particularly from the Ambassador of Lesotho, what the government is doing to ensure that this economic growth that stems from AGOA impacts the rest of the masses and not just a few of them. You know, I'm a Nigerian by birth, and I know that there's a sense of lack of social accountability on every level. On the government, private sector, even the citizens that have a sense of entitlement that the government is there to do everything. So there needs to be a mindset change, you know, in order for this to actually work effectively.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Femi Akimbi, Manchester Trade. My simple question is that as the Africans globally are looking for partnership, what is the African framework for the African citizen? And what is our financial capacity to develop a base for our own finance as into looking for others? If we are stealing the money out of the continent and hiding it away somewhere else, why do we expect somebody else to come invest in our continent? That's my question. Thank you.
Did you have a last question? Our last question.
All right. My name is Jean-Paul. I'm in aviation. I'm a pilot. And my question as such is in the aviation business. The last authorization, I think, in AGOA didn't have a very robust aviation rubric in it. What's been done now to make it more robust as far as equipment and startup companies in Africa? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ambassador, final words on any of the governance question or aviation?
Oh, I want to address the one about whether or the extent to which the benefits trickle down to the ordinary people. I think this is part of the export strategy. It has to be included in there. The issue of internal value chains. We have to, that's one of the aspects, one of the issues that have to be indicated. In other words, the strategy must say how is everybody who's supposed to benefiting from AGOA activities.
Thanks. Did the representative from South Africa want to say something?
Not at the stage.
Not at this stage. Okay, great. Scott.
On the governance question, under Section 104 of the AGOA Act, it does have a number of issues laid out within it about rule of law, governance, things like that. So I would just draw to the attention of the ambassadorial corps as they get questions like that. It probably is incumbent upon all of us as we look at what AGOA is going to look like now and in the future to review what eligibility really means in this stage. And there's clearly laid out definitions around protection of intellectual property rights, rules-based trading system, eliminating government interference in markets, and et cetera. So, I think as we look back on this conversation today, as we look forward to AGOA's swift reauthorization and 2 weeks. Is that what we're at, Whitney? You know, we really have to take into account of where the future of the continent wants to go and how this partnership really deepens. And it really is between business communities. The Congresswoman from Texas clearly stated that Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab and these issues are apparent and widespread across the continent. And these folks aren't running towards Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram because they see it as their cause du jour. It's because it's where they find a job, it's where they find clothing, and the only thing that's going to replace that is increased trade and investment. So, as we look at that, that should be the backbone of all this. The stability of the region, the stability of the United States is going to be on the back of AGOA as we create jobs across the continent. This is where we should start, and I think we have to keep that in our consideration, that AGOA's priority is to open those markets and take away the challenges that are for everyone in this world.
And Rahama, last word.
In terms of the benefits trickling down, if you look at any economy that's done well, it's done well because of business development, manufacturing capabilities. And so as we look at Africa as a whole, we need to see more manufacturing. We need to stop seeing so many raw materials being shipped out, manufactured in Europe and Asia, and global distribution happens, which is what happens within the shea butter sector. And so I think that we need to start looking at how to build manufacturing capabilities of people on the ground. We need to start looking at building more inclusive, value-added supply chains so that when products leave, they leave in a way that people are being compensated for the value addition that they're doing along the supply chain. And so I think that, if we're going to really think about how trade is going to address the poverty issues in Africa, we also have to look at this issue of manufacturing.
Great, thank you. Well, just let me say that I think one of the messages today that we know is that Africa is 54 countries, and it's a continent of vast opportunity, and that AGOA is the vehicle to expanding that opportunity. As Congressman Rangel said, indeed, we are on a crusade, and I think making that known way outside this room is so important. We look forward to working with the Ambassadorial Diplomatic Corps. I remember in 2000 when we got AGOA passed, a letter from all the ambassadors to the Speaker of the House was really quite critical to sort of moving this over the goal line. So just let me thank all of you for coming, the Office of Congresswoman Bass, Congressman Rangel, all the African ambassadors, everybody for coming. And I think it's a good omen that we end on time. We'll get AGOA extended on time.